course. And to close it out, I want to pass it over to Kristi. Kristi has some words for us. So let's give her one more virtual round of applause and welcome as she closes us out.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone. Almost. Yes, it is afternoon. I am so sorry I was not able to get on. We had some technology glitches at the beginning and I wasn't able to welcome you. But I just want to thank our partners for a wonderful conference. I'm seeing the chat box filled with accolades. Thank you all so much for spending your time. We had well over 300 people on today. What a wonderful day. And I know I was able to participate in several of the sessions, and what an inspiration all of you are. Thank you to our parents and families who have participated. I am the Deputy Director with the Division of Child Development and Early Education in North Carolina, but also the project director of our Preschool Development Grant. And that grant allowed us the opportunity to put this conference together, have such great speakers, and have all of you be able to participate today. Our commitment is that families with young children across North Carolina, we want them to feel supported, we want them to be engaged in early learning, and we want them to be connected to the resources that they need. You know, as we have worked over the last 3 years to really begin to raise family voice across North Carolina, one quote that has stayed with me since the very inception of our work is "Nothing about us without us." And that is exactly what I hope you felt today. I hope you have felt connected and inspired. I hope that you have built some knowledge and skills. And I hope that you'll continue to look for opportunities to lead as a family member, as a parent, and to really share your voice. We want you to be those voices that we need to hear, so that as we begin to make changes in our systems, that these systems are working for the children and the families who need them. So to close us out today, I just have a story. You know, in the sessions that I were in, we were asked to think about challenges that we may have faced. I'm a mother myself. My children are grown. How they got there, I don't know. They did it in spite of me, you know, because I messed up many times along the way. But there's a story that I want to share with you. When my youngest daughter was in first grade, about 2 weeks before she was going to move on to second grade, the teacher sent home a note and said, she's not ready to move forward. And I'm thinking, what do you mean she's not ready to move forward? There had been no communication. There had been nothing telling me that she was not ready. And I remember having conversations with the school counselors and the principals and the teachers. And, you know, I was very fortunate. I knew where my resources were. I was in the system. I knew the right questions to ask. My husband threw up his hands and said, well, I guess she'll just repeat first grade. I said, oh, no, she will not. Because this child can speak Spanish and English, and there's no reason that they think she can't read when she's reading 2 different languages. And, you know, again, I had the resources, I knew what to do, and, you know, we were able to get her the support she needed. And now she's an avid reader and amazing. She's a biomedical engineer, if that tells you anything. She has more than succeeded in her life. But, you know, it was because I was willing to stand up. I had a voice and I fought the system, and it made a difference in her life and it made a difference in others. So as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about a story that I heard once about a game called Giants, Wizards, and Dwarfs. That was the name of the game, Giants, Wizards, and Dwarfs. Now I want you to think a minute as to which one of those you relate to. Are you a giant? Are you a wizard? Or are you a dwarf? You know, being left in charge of children at my church one time when parents were off doing whatever parenting things they were doing, I wanted to play a game. And this was a game that we played with the troops in the church social hall. And, you know, we took a few minutes and we explained the game. It's really just a large scale version of rock, paper, scissors. And it involves some intellectual decision making. You have to decide if you're a dwarf, if you're a wizard, or if you're a giant. Now, when I tried to organize this group of wired up children into 2 teams and explaining the rudiments and the rules of the game, achieving consensus of group identity, all of this was no easy accomplishment, as I'm sure all of you can relate to when you're dealing with children. But we did it with a right good will, and we were ready to go. So there was all this excitement brewing, and the chase was on, and I yelled out, right now you need to decide if you're going to relate to being a giant, a wizard, or a dwarf. And I told them in the room where they were to go to. And so everybody dispersed, and they went and stood with the giants or with the wizards or with the dwarfs. And while they were standing in the corner, there was this one little girl that came up to me and pulled on my dress, and she looked up at me and she said, "Where did the mermaids stand?" And, you know, after a very long pause, I said to myself, "Where did the mermaids stand?" And she said, "Yes, you see, I'm a mermaid." And, you know, I'm thinking to myself, well, mermaids don't exist and they're not part of this game. But she said, oh, yes, she read my mind. She said, I am a mermaid. She did not relate to being a giant, a dwarf, or a wizard. She knew her category. She was a mermaid and was not about to leave the game and go over and stand against the wall where the losers stood. She intended to participate wherever mermaids fit into the scheme of the game. Without giving up her dignity or her identity, she took it for granted that there had to be a place and needed to be a place for the mermaids. And I, being the leader of the game, would know where they stood. Well, I ask you, where do the mermaids stand? All the mermaids, those who are different, those who do not fit the norm, those who do not accept the available boxes or pigeonholes that people want to put us into, those of us who our voice is not always heard. If we can answer that question, I believe we can build a school, a nation, and a world on it. So what was my answer on that day when I was there with all of those children? You know, every once in a while, I can say the right thing. And I said to that little girl, the mermaids stand right here beside the queen of the sea. Yeah, I was thinking the queen's fool, you know, that I hadn't thought that everybody would identify with those 3 categories of wizards, dwarfs, or giants. So we stood there hand in hand, reviewing all the troops of wizards and giants and dwarfs as they rolled by and continued to enjoy the game. I just want to leave you with this thought. It is not true, by the way, that mermaids do not exist. I know they do. I know one personally, and I've held her hand. Continue to let your voices be heard. Thank you for being with us. Tug on someone's coattail and make your voices heard. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for spending your time, and thank you for everything you do each and every day to be the first parents of your children and to be a voice for your families. Thank you, guys.